What is this? It's not even clicking, not even chirping. It's just. I think this is the other direction I could have come from. Oh! Oh my god! Oh Christ! Oh! Oh, this was intentional.
What am I doing? Come on. A little bit further.
Motherfucker. I don't. Sure, they're not car-sized spiders, but they're cat-sized spiders. And that's a size too much. This was a game I've known about for a few years and never got around to it. But I've heard it recommended many, many times. So many times that I finally decided, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. I saw it played twice before, but remember literally nothing about it except 5 seconds off of one particular part, so that didn't really help me at all. And it's pretty much me being playing fresh like anyone else. So the setting of this game is basically a world where magic and science for the most part coexist. At first I thought it was like pretty much just a full sci-fi world where everything was slightly inspired by Norse legends. But then I went to another realm and almost died because of a frost giant, like an actual frost giant. I looked up and then I saw like his head was just massive, the size of a building. And I knew, okay, it's not just random like sci-fi metaphors and everything, it's actual stuff here. Like then I go back to Midgard because they've been talking about Thor's hand for the longest time, how it powers everything. I thought it was gonna be I don't know, like some sort of battery or some sort of weird device that they just called a hammer. No, it was a huge hammer just in the middle of the room, the size of a building, and yeah, I was like, oh, that's actually Thor's hammer. Of course, they don't explain why that's there, or where Thor is, why the fuck Mjolnir is there at all, but yeah. So anyway, that's the setting. But the game is more about you being the typical amnesiac horror protagonist who has to go out their way exploring the realms for one reason or another, to keep going like through all 9 realms, of course, and help others in a roundabout way to learn more about their past. And yes, I am being intentionally vague because story is the meat of this game, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, of course. The story is good, and of course, since you are discovering like more and more about her and the world and how it works, as well as how it became that way, because of course this is a kind of a story world, at least part that I was in so far. Like it's a giant facility, but it was just pretty much empty. It was ruined, destroyed. Everything was just like, it's been done out. It looks like there are all these like all this science of life just building over it. It has not been like working for a while, but like I don't know if it was like so huge. Like it might have been a huge little boom of it all happening at the same time. But there's still like. It's still just relic compared to the rest of the world, of course. And there are the usual audio logs and written journal entries and everything you follow, plus what characters just play and spell out to you. And eventually I can kind of paint a picture of what's going on. By the end of the game, you will end up, I guess, word is it's made up word, but narratively satisfied. That's a good way to say it. And it doesn't have a bunch of plot threads that blue ball you by the end. That some lesser games do all the time. It's like a fully realized world, and you are just part of it. So it doesn't live happily ever after and everything. Like nothing just wraps up in a bow. But for the most part, your story is taken care of. And even after credits roll, I can find myself still in this world and with more questions, but for the most part, your character story is done. And that's pretty much all I needed from the game. It can be scary and it cannot at the same time, but it was never like outright scary. There are not a lot of checkpoints, so I had to run back and forth a lot of times if I did anything new. Because if I didn't, there was this whole section where like basically if you die for the first time, you get sent to like a whole new area where you're being chased by something, and you have to survive that in order to make it back to the living. And then you have to do that each time. If you don't, well, I hope you've clicked like that golden ball a lot, because then you're going back to that actual last time you held that little save point. It's just bottom line. Like if you somehow have just ignored everyone for the past like 4 hours, well, you're going back 4 hours. It's not like you enter a new area, that got sealed off and all that, and then it just auto saves. No, you got to do that. And of course, most people they do, so it's not like that's not a big deal. Like I was fine with the game at first, but then I felt like it was like a sense of trying to survive, whether like whatever creature was near me, pretty much. Like speaking of which, you spend most of the game in Midgard, and the main enemy there. It's kind of hard to describe them. Like they like, I don't know what their name is actually. I think I found it out like when I was playing on Books Love or something like that, but they never don't really say what it is. But they're kind of just there and they wander around. Sometimes they just start crying and you're like, okay, and then like next time just crying, like they'll get on their knees and just start crying like that, and then it seems like they're innocent. They are not. Like they'll say like one, two words and everything, and it sounds like they're all depressed. They don't look scary or act scary, but if you get spotted by them and don't run away, you will be dead because they will just start charging at you and they just kill you. They kind of remind me of those like junkies from Bioshock. That's the best way to describe them. Like they look like they're just mind their own business sometimes. Maybe it's like say you don't know like when they're talking, you don't know if they're talking to you or if they're just like just saying gibberish and all that. And then like as soon as they do, they'll just start charging at you for no reason. And they even seem kind of sad sometimes. But once again, they will try to kill you for no freaking reason. So they aren't scary looking or intimidating in any way, but don't underestimate them. And if you do, you're going to get got. But that's just the long and short of it. You will get got by those little, those shriveled up, whatever they are, things. I don't know. The game's very, very dark, and then you have like a little eye and everything that can like show things like detective vision and everything in like other games like Batman and all that, but at the same time it's just I still don't know what the hell they are supposed to be. Other realms have their own monsters like frost giants I mentioned earlier. There are some things that are basically they're corpses basically contorted to the point where they're basically spiders, which sounds disturbing and it really kind of is. Worms, these other like the worms are kind of weird. Like they were only one area, and I think, but like just mostly just like every area has just like one like maybe two enemies possibly, but it's just you have to avoid them over and over again. Yeah, but when you have a goal across a room and they're just all these things are just in your way. Bullet hole like will kind of clinch up. Like, there are a few moments when a game does try to jump scare you, but it's more like 2 seconds of oh that thing is a hit like the glass and all that, and that's pretty much it. Like sometimes I think hear it and actually not experience it because it was so quick and everything. And so, so at that point, it didn't really phase me. It's kind of just, one time I thought, what the fuck was that? And I shouldn't have found out. And maybe I did, but I didn't know if that was the same thing or something. I don't know. It's like it was never one of like a lot of the games like they do that as a slow build up where it first sees you or it talks to you, and then later on like you'll see it again or learn more about it and all that. Yeah, that didn't happen in this game, so it's kind of excellent. Like, now I think about it, I didn't know what it was, but yeah, it wasn't like the build up wasn't like as intense as a lot of other games. So bottom line, I guess, if you're really invested in like a PlayStation and everything, you can get like really into this and then eventually feel tense and like on edge and everything. But if you just but when you just start the game one day, said, "Hey, I want to play some Apsulov," and then like you play the game for like 5 minutes, you won't really feel it, of course. So it's more like a kind of thing where it catches you off guard kind of feeling. I mentioned a bit that there's a lot of Bioshock in this, and that kind of extends to gameplay. It's similar setting of completely like destroyed locale with crazy enemies all around, and you have a powerful right arm, just like in Bioshock One Infinite. You're human with with powerful they both have different names and everything for their magic. They blast enemies with and everything. And then in Bioshock Two, you're Big Daddy with the drill, and also still once again stuff just shoot at them and everything. Though of course that time you have two arms to do basically everything. But either way, that's how it was in this game. You have a giant metal arm that like charges up energy and blast most things away in one hit. Like so, there was like a description of the game, like not even a description, like when they first gave you that power, they said it affects enemies differently. But it's because I pretty much I just I don't know, like never really understood how it affected them differently. Like there was one enemy I know like I blasted two at the same time when they became those for a second. I thought that was it, and they came back to life. Then another enemy I think might have got completely disintegrated. I can't remember. So that might have been like one of the things, but they get rid of enemies the same way each time. So I guess basically depends on like after that, that's how they react after that's different. And like during the game, you keep building that up more and more. Like so you could like do more. Like for first one shot's it, but then it keeps building up to like where you can do like one shot and then maybe like two more things. Like maybe you go open up a door or free something like that, and like eventually to the point where you could do like a couple shots back to back. But at the same time, I personally stealthed my whole way through the game, so I had about 44 batteries for that same thing, and only used pretty much only used it when it was mandatory, and every time it was mandatory, the game gave you a charging station. So like let's say like there was a door that I had to go through in order to advance the story, I'll blast it, then I just go back down the ladder, across the room to charge again. Then I just go back up, and I do that each time. That's just me. It's like it's right there. Why bother? Why bother using energy? Why bother charging this stuff? Just go. It's kind of bare bones gameplay since the game is more about the story than anything else. So the same goes to exploration. That was very bare bones. You can explore and find all these floating collectibles or batteries, and that's when it felt kind of pointless to me because like I opened up so many doors that were off the path, only to find a battery pack, and I'm like, I spent energy to open up this extra door. Yes, it gives me that's just filled with a battery or two for the same energy I just used. And after having that happen like 3 times, I was like, that's enough. I'm gonna do the story now because there's no point here. I was like, screw this. Just gonna stop. just gonna stop and like not smell the roses because the roses would be all be infected and horrible abominations. But yeah, it was all about the story at that point. And it's a pretty simple game. All you already gotta do is just use the arm sometimes, collect whatever they tell you to collect, and then go wherever they go. And then it's a lot of basically they send you out on a mission somewhere to from Midgard to another realm. Then you go back. Then they tell you to go to some other realm, or maybe go to another floor on Midgard, and then you go back over and over again. There's like a change in story at some point, but that kind of changes things up. But for the most part, that's the main story beat. Like that's like the main how the main like game goes for a while. And once again, there is a lot to explore. I mean, like there are so many gates there. It's like, for example, like each time you get something, you're able to get like more and more doors. Like let's say you have like the third key, so you're able to go to like the third doors and everything like that. But there are doors with four on them. But then like so you have to keep going until you like basically have blocks for all these doors. And I didn't do that. I tried, but then like I went into one extra door like that, and then it wasn't really anything. I just felt like I kind of just wasted my time. And plus, there were more. I think there were more enemies around that time too. So I was like, screw it. Let me just cross this huge room and go with the next objective. So overall, I'd say I really enjoyed my time in this world, and I wouldn't mind it either if I visited again. At least see with the developers if they do something similar. So actually, the funny thing is, I've heard about this game for so many times and so many years and all that, and just never touched it. The first game I played from them happened to be like I didn't even know it was a game from the same developer. Actually, I decided to check and I was like, oh, they also made Apsulov. That's weird. And because that game was gory carnage, and in that game you play as a on a hoverboard in space killing unicorns. It's like it's kind of like an action game with it did not a style meter, but it had like some similar stuff. It's just a linear action game, and it felt like an acid trip basically. The fact that they were the same developers is still insane to me. But I mean, it's good to branch out to do other things too, but that was still very, very wild and crazy, just out of nowhere. And the thing by now that game's like a year or so old now too, so it's yeah. And I did find out that they did another game called Unforgiving, a northern hymn based on Swedish lore this time. I'm like I don't think it's sci-fi, but it is like it seems like it might be like very similar in the way that because like kind of looks somewhat similar, I would say, but I never got around to it. I didn't actually know they existed actually when I was getting ready for this review. I mean, maybe I did and I forgot all about it. I don't remember because it's been a while, but yeah. I was looking up the game on Steam, then I saw that, and I was like, oh. So I might look into that. I might have put it on wish list and like whenever it's on sale, I was like, give it a buy. I'm not sure, but if it's anything like this, it'll probably be enjoyable time. But I'm still gonna like look into it, like see, because it could be boring, could not be, could it be like some other things, and I still have my time is still important at the end of the day. Like, it wasn't like too expensive, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to just like play just for no reason, just find myself annoyed. But regardless, I do recommend getting Apsulov if you are interested in Norse mythology or like it when people blend magic and science together, which is kind of like I kind of like when they do that and again the right circumstances when it's not just oh, this is 100% science, and they call it magic, or the other way around. I kind of like when it was basically they're clearly two different things. It was like there was clearly magic stuff and clearly science stuff, and then they worked together, and it wasn't just everything that's science is just called magic, or like everything magic has is basically a scientific formula. No, it's just like clearly a mixture of two worlds, and that was kind of nice. The gameplay is not revolutionary, of course, but it tells a good story and has some decent presentations. If you want, I'd say give it a try. I got a gift. I got actually gifted to me actually. So I was gonna buy it eventually. Yeah, because I was like I put on my Steam wish list. Then I thought I'll buy it whenever I see it on sale or whatever, whenever I feel like it. Then it got gifted like 10 hours later. So that was like, well, let me play it then. And I enjoyed it. If I had the chance, I would have bought it either way.